Hello, my name is Omar Sawaf, and I'm the founder of Direct from Developer. And today we're going to talk about investing in Mexican real estate, and specifically Playa del Carmen and Tulum, the two hot spots. But before we begin, I think it's worthwhile touching on the threshold question. Why should you invest in Mexican real estate? Well, there's a couple pretty good reasons. One, it's that low cost of real estate. Property prices are comparatively low. You've got cheap annual property taxes and low-cost property-related expenses, including utilities. It's that low cost of living, where you get resort living at a fraction of the price. And it's reasonably priced healthcare for people that want to make Mexico home. And it's lower cost for food and incidental expenses. And finally, it's that quality of life, where you can get beachfront lifestyle at a fraction of the price, and you can escape the stress. Now, who's buying in Playa del Carmen and Tulum? What's the profile of buyers? Well, there's a couple different groups buying in Playa del Carmen and Tulum at the moment. You've got US and Canadian residents seeking a second home or vacation home. You've got retirees seeking a beautiful, reasonably priced retirement destination. You've got real estate investors searching for new investment opportunities. And you've got young professionals with jobs that permit them to work remotely. Now, today's discussion is going to cover three broad topics. We're going to start with financials. How is real estate performing in Playa del Carmen and Tulum? Then we're going to talk about the law. Can you, as a foreign national, buy property in Playa del Carmen and Tulum? And how are you going to structure that purchase? And then we're going to talk about taxes. What taxes are going to touch on you as a foreign investor investing in Playa del Carmen or Tulum? So, starting with financials and starting with rental yields. Yields on rentals are relatively difficult to make out in both Playa del Carmen and Tulum. And that's because there's no MLS equivalent, and you're ultimately relying on a third party as a source for information. Now, we do know there's a very robust short-term rental market in both Playa del Carmen and Tulum, driven by tourists from America and Canada. And we know there's a lot of foreign investment flowing into Playa del Carmen and Tulum to cash in on this tourist industry. Now, in terms of property prices, Mexican house prices rose 9.92% year over year in the year ending second quarter 2018. And prices in Playa del Carmen rose 15 to 20% in the two-year period ending August 2018, according to the Mexican Association of the Real Estate Industry. Now, this growth was driven by American and Canadian buyers seeking a second home, vacation home, or investment properties, as well as to take advantage of a strong dollar and a weakened peso. In terms of financing, as a foreign national, can you buy property and finance property that you're buying in Mexico, and specifically Playa del Carmen and Tulum? Well, the answer to that question is generally no. All cash buyers are the norm, and that's because local rules restrict loans to foreign nationals. Now, there are specialty lenders who will finance loans on Mexican property with a charge or lien against a foreign national borrower's property outside of Mexico, say in the US or Canada. In terms of closing costs typically run approximately 5 to 7% of the purchase price. That'll include, for example, your transfer tax of approximately 2 to 3% of the sale price or market value, a notary fee of approximately 3% of the appraised value, or a fee to set up a bank account, or fees to set up your bank trust or your corporation, and that's how you're going to structure the purchase, and we'll talk about that in a second. That fee is approximately $1,000 to $1,500, and you're also going to have a nominal deed registration fee. And in my opinion, you also want to get title insurance and consult a lawyer, but those fees will be separate. Now, in terms of the law, foreign nationals can own real estate in Mexico, subject to two key restrictions. Foreign nationals cannot directly own property within 31 miles of a coastline, which would implicate both Playa del Carmen and Tulum, or within 62 miles of an international border. Now, foreign nationals can nonetheless indirectly buy property in both Playa del Carmen and Tulum in one of two ways. Either through a 50-year renewable bank trust through a local bank, or through a Mexican domestic corporation. And in each case, critically, the foreign national retains exclusive beneficial ownership and the right to rent, use, and sell the property. Now, in terms of immigration, you as a US citizen or Canadian citizen can get a visa on arrival in Mexico, which will permit a stay of up to 6 months, which may be all you need if you're buying a second home or a vacation home or investment property. If you're looking for something a little more permanent, you can get a non-immigrant visa, which renews annually. If you're looking for something even more permanent, you can get an immigrant visa, for example, if you're seeking permanent residency status. But that visa is a little more difficult to obtain and is subject to various conditions and requirements. Now, how are you going to structure your purchase? You have two options. You're either, as a foreign national, going to set up a bank trust through a local bank, And that's the preferred method if you're seeking to purchase a primary residence or a second or vacation home. Or alternatively, if you're looking for investment property and you want to shield yourself from personal liability, you'll set up a Mexican domestic corporation. A Mexican domestic corporation can be wholly owned by foreign nationals, and it's that Mexican domestic corporation that will pay taxes and file tax returns, not you as a foreign national. Now, in terms of due diligence, if you're buying property in Mexico, and specifically Playa del Carmen and Tulum, you're going to, and particularly new construction, you want to research the developer and the project to ensure the developer has all the permits for the project and construction, and you're going to check the construction status of the project. I think you want to consult an attorney too to review your contract. The attorney will check for irregularities, confirm that risk and cost is being properly apportioned between the parties in line with local custom. You don't want any surprises. And that lawyer will also investigate title to confirm that ownership, the seller owns the property and has the right to sell the property or property in the project. And also check for liens and restrictions. Now, when I say lawyer, I mean an independent lawyer, not a lawyer referred to you by the developer. Some buyers have bought property with clouds on title. So again, checking for liens and clouds on title is critical, and you're going to want to get a lawyer involved to do that. Do not rely on the notary to do this. The notary is not your agent. The notary has no fiduciary duty to check for clouds on title. That is not their responsibility. So again, get a lawyer involved. Title insurance is increasingly popular in Mexico, and I certainly would recommend it. And many title companies provide escrow services. In terms of the closing, the notary, again, manages the closing. The notary will review the documentation, including a certificate of no liens, confirm there's no outstanding amounts due to the water company or for public works. The notary will register the title deed with the public registry and withhold taxes and fees. Again, the notary does not investigate title. That is not the notary's role to confirm that there are no clouds on title. That's your lawyer's job. Now, you as a foreign national can attend the closing in person, or you can grant power of attorney to a local person to act on your behalf. That could be, for example, your attorney or your broker. Now, local title companies do provide escrow services, which are convenient, makes the closing smoother. Now, in terms of red flags, again, I've hinted at it throughout the presentation. Title risk is probably the biggest risk in Mexico, so it's always good to get a lawyer involved and you can mitigate that risk. In terms of taxes, we've touched on this 2 to 3% transfer tax assessed against the purchase price. You've got low annual property taxes in Mexico, 0.4% to 1% of the assessed value annually. No estate tax or inheritance tax in Mexico, which is good. There is a VAT tax, a value-added tax, which is assessed on brokers' fees, but again, it's the seller that pays the broker's fees, not buyers. So you're not going to get hit with that when you buy property. That VAT will be assessed on the seller. Now that VAT is assessed at a 16% rate, and that same VAT does apply on rental income on short-term rentals. So if you are renting property out on a short-term basis, you are going to incur that tax, and you're going to want to try to pass it on to your tenants. Now, in terms of income taxes, there is a tax treaty between the U.S. and Canada, both the U.S. and Canada with Mexico. U.S. nationals, for example, can elect to be taxed on their net rental income at graduated rates between 3 and 30%. Again, that's net rental income after deductions for taxes, maintenance, and depreciation with tax invoices. Now, if you end up setting up through a Mexican domestic corporation, you're going to end up paying a flat tax of 30% on net rental income. Again, net rental income after deductions. In terms of capital gains tax, you as foreign national will pay capital gains tax when you sell your property at a rate of either 25% of the gross sale proceeds, or you can elect to pay up to 37% on the inflation-adjusted net gain from the sale. That is sale price or value minus your basis. So up to 30% on the inflation-adjusted net gain on the sale. Now, there is an exemption for primary residences, so if you're residing in that property and it's your primary residence, you can be exempted. And alternatively, if you're buying through a domestic corporation, you pay tax on the net gain from the sale. That's sale price or value over your basis at a flat rate of 30%. And that's it. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to me at omar@directfromdeveloper.com. You can also always reach out to our corporate headquarters, and you can always as well check out our YouTube channel if you're interested in investing in Mexico or any other jurisdiction. Thank you again. Hope you learned something, and have a great day. Thank you.